Hey, how you guys doing? We're gonna go over one of my games. I wanted to show you guys how you can never give up and always keep pushing. Okay, let's get started. Hold on, 1 second. I have to open a can of pop. Okay, good. Just wanted to make sure everything was clean on it. Okay, it's a diet A&W. That's a good. No, those are really good. Okay, back into the fray. Okay, D4. Oops. D4. A6. Knight. Bishop. F4. B5. Knight E3. I develop my knight. See how much development I have? He plays E. D3. He goes C5. He's trying to do a huge attack, so I get ready for that. So when he takes, and then I take back. Now I have this whole open file ready and waiting to go for the attack along here. So if I want to play queen, then knight, and then I could play in there. Knight comes in. I'm protecting this knight. I'm protecting this knight. Preparing to go to queen to c2. Queen c2. Preparing to take. And I actually made a mistake here. I admit it. I did. I made a mistake on placing my. I should have moved back here. That's what my idea was, but for some reason I clicked there. He took there, and I took back. He took, and then now what I do is, at this point, I'm like, I can win a pawn. If he plays here, I'm gonna take. Takes might be actually the best option for me. And then takes, and then what'll happen is I am up. I'm down. I think. Let me see. I think I have 2 pawns for. Let me see. This is open. This is open. I think I got 3 pawns for the piece. 1. I think so. Yeah. So I do have adequate material. So he plays there, and I'm like, you know what? I can't play here. My bishop's going to be taken. So I go for the exchange of being up pawns, and I thought to myself, I'm attacking here. I have a potential check here. I also can check here if I needed to. I have all the play. So he takes there, and I already predicted that what he's going to do. He can't move here. If he moves here, you know what you're thinking. What if he moves here? Then I could play rook takes. Takes, and I believe, let's see, I think I'm up a pawn here because this is open, this is open, this is open, this is open. I only have 1, 2, 3. I am only down 3 pawns, so I'm actually up material. Next move, I can actually play knight to g6, and then threaten to mate right here. If knight comes here, that's a mate. So he moves there. I take, and then I now win that back. I'm up 1 pawn, and he's comes in with his knight. He wants to drop in, cause some problems. I bring my rook, pinning. He castles, and I bring my king back. He plays there. I play here, and this kind of was another inaccuracy. My idea was to play here, but I realized, I was like, oh man, if I play here, like if he does something and I play here, he can snap this off attacking my rook. So he develops his last piece. I retreat back. I have to. I didn't like having to do this, but sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. Hey, G5, G5. Let's see. Yeah, I didn't. So I played here, and then I went. You know what? Here. I have to come back, and I'm like, so I now push the pawn because this is the reason I have my knight there to begin with. And I'm like, you know what? Yeah, and that's why I had this pawn here to begin. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna push it. Now this knight's relieved. I can move my rook up. So he takes, and then I move my rook up. Now I'm defending this pawn. Also, this knight can move. This knight can move. My freedom is back, and so I use it to max effect. He plays knight. I play knight c4 with ideas of either going there or there. Also, I can reroute my knight if I needed to, and you want to activate your pieces. He plays there, and I'm like, you know what? I win a piece. That he actually makes a mistake there, and I'm like, oh, thank you. And I take. Oh yeah, exactly. On chess.com. Oh yeah. Yes, for sure. We'll get to see. Wesley said he isn't that kind of. He hasn't played a lot of blitz games, so he's kind of counting himself out. But he says he's going to do the best that he can. So that's always a good thing, to do your best, and worry about the results later. Just do your best. Okay, bishop, and now I'm checking. He goes there, and I take the bishop. He moves his knight. I bring my knight in. I'm starting to develop all my pieces. He plays there, rook check, and then at this point I'm like, I was thinking, do I want to push here and risk anything? And I'm like, nope. So I drop my knight in, because if this rook wasn't here, this would actually be mate. So he's forced to takes, and then I check, and so now I'm up a whole rook and a pawn. Actually, I think he's got 3. I have 5, so I'm up a rook and a rook and 3 pawns. I check. I'm now going after that pawn, preparing to go here. That, and then I'd have a check there. So he plays there. Now I'm crushing in with a fork. I take with check. I bring my knight back, and my knight. The cool thing is my knight guards here. My pawns guard there. Even if he comes in here, which that's what he does, he tries to come in. My rook guards that pawn. I have this pass pawn that could come up the board. So I have the theory of 2 weaknesses will prevail in this game. And I check. I bring my rook. What I should have played at this point was actually up here, but I wanted to kind of get my rook activated so that if I needed to, I could always play g6. Get rid of this knight and then push this pawn up. He plays there. I now go in front of the pawn because I want to win this pawn. Then I'll have 3 pass pawns. Hey. And we go there. And then now that his knight is all the way over here and there's no hope of it ever getting back, I start pushing my other pawn. And at this point, he resigns. Hey, would you any of you guys like to go over a game, or would you like to do some puzzles? I actually have another game that was from. That's what I'll do. I almost forgot. I have another game in the wings. It's Anon versus it's V Verchek. I don't know how to say his name. And then it's Vichy Anon as white. I mean, as black. And this actually, for a while, hey, want to go over a game? You want to go over a game? Okay, we'll go over this. Alright, if you have a game that you want to go over, I'm more than willing to go over it. But this is, yeah, exactly. D4, D5. And this actually, the interesting thing is white had an advantage for this whole entire game, but over time into the end game, he let the advantage slip. I went through this already, and it ended up a draw. It was pretty impressive how Anon handled the game. Well, think about it. He became the world champion, so he must know what he's doing, right? Yeah, it's just Diet A&W. Okay, so there takes, okay, please. So he's trying to stop. If you notice, the idea is to stop, and also he could play later on if he needed to e4. E4 is a huge move. He may play, and you know what, like what we talked about, he may get his bishop outside the pawn chain and then play e3. It depends. There's a lot of ideas for Iva check. Well, I'll just call him Iva, and I'll just say Anon. For Anon's black, let's do Anon for black, and Ivan for white. So then I know I could pronounce that okay. Okay, Anon plays bishop to f5. He's cutting through. He's actually activating his bishop, and then more than likely he's going to play e6. E6 is a really strong move because it does a couple things. It protects the bishop, unleashes the dark squared bishop so that castling could happen on the king side. Wow, in that move I did not understand why he played that. I see that he wants to move his bishop. Ivan wants to move his bishop. I mean, not his bishop, his knight. But this kind of like blocked in his position. I would have rather, if it was me, I know I'd rather play it here than there. But even if this is played here, you can still take. So, and there's really no rush to actually do that. I can see that there might be a merit of knight h5 though. And then you retreat your bishop back, knight takes, pawn takes, and yeah, there's really nothing to worry about. Ivan had really nothing to worry about. He should have developed, then pushed e3. That's just my opinion. It's actually my preference too, because sometimes players are positional, sometimes they're attacking, and I also know what his idea is too. He's attacking the pawn, but I really don't like that. Yeah, I understand that this is a idea, and I know why Ivan's doing that. He set up for it with a4. See, a4 stopped the ability for b5 to happen, so that if a4 wasn't here, let's just say a4 was back on a1, the e3 pawn wouldn't have as much power or have as much teeth, because Anon could just play b5 and the pawn structure would be united. But the a pawn, Ivan stops that, because he could do that. He could play b5 if he wanted to, then takes. But I don't know if that's the best. Well, we'll get to see. Yeah, Anon does the correct move, in my opinion. Is he's getting his pieces out. He's not worried about losing a pawn. I think e3 was played to. Yeah, exactly. That actually was the idea. But the only problem is I didn't like. You could do that almost any time, almost, because this knight right here, the knight on C3, yeah, it does. But if think about this, if you got your dark squared bishop, white star squared bishop, Ivan's bishop outside, think of how much more power he would have if he had one here. Look how much scope this, and at any time later, E3 can be played. I understand why he played E3. He wants to go after this pawn, put some threats to Anon's position. I know, I see that. It's tempting, but sometimes restraint is the hardest thing to do in chess. Okay, he takes, and see, Anon did a smart thing. He now brought his bishop out, pinning to the knight, Ivan's knight, to the king. And the only piece that could block would be, oh wow, so actually he doesn't have to block, does he? No, because he can castle, and then if bishop takes, reconnects the pawn. Interesting. Sometimes when you get in a sitch like that, castling is best, especially when you have a huge bishop like that, you know. So so both of them now are safe. Now it comes down to plans. What type of plan does Anon want? What type of plan does Ivan want? Well, Anon more likely wants to break the center up. His pieces are, the problem is small, is that it locked your bishop at the same time. If you put it on F, I can win. Oh, yeah, here. Let's see. So this is so that if this was here, that you could play here or here. Yeah, I've actually won a game with having my dark squared bishop here, because it's the oddest of things. Players will forget that you actually have a bishop here. They'll get so wrapped up. Oh yeah, yeah, exactly. And you know that is, you know what, you have to be careful with your bishop, and yeah, then you won't have the bishop pair. Ivan would lose the bishop, the dark square bishop. Then, like what we studied in Jeremy Silman's book, is that he more likely Anon's would make his light square bishop better because it's outside the chain. And yeah, there's a lot of different ideas that E3 would provoke. I could see that. It's a double edged. Yeah, it is double edged. It both ways are playable. It's about preference. What does Ivan want to do? Sometimes they feel like, you know what, they want to keep the position more static. Sometimes they want dynamic. I guess I guess I have to be okay with a static position. I like dynamic positions, like really forcing fighting positions, and I have to train myself to be okay in slow positions. They're not bad positions. They're just, you just have to maneuver really over a long period of time. You got to be patient. You have to calculate. Like some of the players, like Anon and Ivan and those guys, some like to calculate, and so they'll go into a static position where they can calculate huge lines, and then they outcalculate their opponent. And so it depends on what type of a player you are. And so queen e2, that's actually, I know you guys see what the idea is. Bang, right there. His idea is to go e4 and break open the center. But that's a little, And we were right about that. We were right. This is a closed position, and they both have two. The weirdest thing is if we step back for a second and look at the position. White has more central space because black's missing the D pawn. But when you extend your pawns out like this, it makes it more vulnerable. Jeremy Silman said that if White could hold, if Ivan can hold his structure like this, the E4 and D5, he wins because of the ability to cramp the opponent. The more space you take away from your opponent, the harder it is. Of course, you guys know to move your pieces. But also, when you extend them further out, they become more weak. So it's a give and take. Bobby, like what Bobby said, you give a square to get a square. Same thing. You move a piece to get something else. Yeah. A rook on E8 could prevent D5. Yeah. Yeah, that is true. And like if a rook ever ended up on E8, some grandmasters have taught that you always have to remember, yes, this rook is prevented by two pawns. Let's say you got a rook here. This rook is prevented by these two guys, but you always have to remember that a queen on a file like that is awful risky to keep the queen there. So you'll see in a lot of games that grandmasters, if a rook ever got here, would just sidestep just as for a second to get the queen out of that file, so that they then, like what you're saying, have the ability of going D5. Otherwise, if there's a rook here and you went D5, queen here, bang, and if you take back, see you later, queen. So that's why you have to, if you're wanting to do a break or lever open a position, make sure that your queen is safe too. So queen G6. I'm a queen. Sorry, bishop. I was talking about the queen. I had the queen in the brain there. Okie dokie. Okay, bishop G6. That's kind of forced. You could play back here, which takes advantage of the pin, but then you have here, then you got there, and I don't know if pushing G4 would be a great idea, because then you can just retreat back. You could even, I know, go a little crazy and go here. And then now you can bring your queen in. Like if he tries, well, actually that would stop it, wouldn't it? Yeah, that is kind of crazy, crazy. So he retreats back. Bishop D3. Ivan he wants to basically either play here or push. So that the idea of breaking is not in the equation right now. He's more likely going to play E5, open this up, trade off black's most active piece. Right at this moment, black's most active piece is the bishop on G6. Or Anon's, I mean. So he retreats there. E5. Smack. And now, for a long while, this is going to be a very closed game. It's going to be pretty close. They're gonna Black's going to try to play on the D4 pawn. White's going to hold the center. So he's got this is his side of the board. By him extending his pawns out to E5, he now has taken into this area of space because of there. That's why they say when you push your pawns, cramping is a good idea if you like, in closed bit games. You just slowly squeeze, 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 and then your opponent doesn't have any moves. And then they'll get frustrated and they might, do some sort of sacrifice that isn't based on, let me see, principle. There we go. So takes. Oh, interesting. Now there's this mega file that's open. Yikes. Yeah, that Ivan got out of the pin. He wants to be able to move this guy. And E8. Now remember this rook that we were going to talk about? Potentially that could happen there, and then we'll open this whole center up. Sometimes sacrifices are played, even pawn stacks, to get the center open. It depends. E1. Now Ivan's trying to go to C, attack the bishop, and maybe reroute to an outpost. Sometimes have a hard time understanding the E5. Allows knight to D. It closes the position. It goes for yep. And it depends. See, this is white has an advantage of central control because of this position here, and Anon's an excellent player. He's a world champion, but I didn't really like closing this up. In my opinion, maybe knight E is aimed for the F4. Yeah, but F4 that'd be a plausible idea. Maybe even Queen H3 might even be an idea. And I'm probably saying that either that or here's mainly his idea. There's a potential tickling of the bishop on B4, so that's an idea. So retreats back, takes, and the knight comes in. Yeah, but Anon did it's strange. He traded off, and this file is open. I mean, half open file. This file is a full. This is a full open file. Oops, come on. And this is a half open one. So there's two files that are open for the taking. One is closer to the king, which isn't. I don't really like that. That's kind of uncomfortable. The queen comes in, attacks the pawn. Also, eyes that, protects there. Whole bunch of different ideas. Takes, and then B3. That's the only sitch about having these pawns on that color is our bishop is the color of these the pawns that they're on, so it kind of makes our bishop not as good. But the chance of a knight infiltrating is pretty hard too. Yeah. And then bishop d6. Yeah. You can move the queen, and then you implant the bishop here. That works. That does. So you have to decide what do you want to do. Ivan has a active bad bishop, because how you can tell is how many pawns, but actually it's because there's this average three on white side, so 3 on light square, and oh no, it is bad because there's 4 on dark squares. Usually the majority of the pawns you can see if they're on the same color as the bishop, and one of your bishops is left, it's considered bad. So it's a bad bishop but active. A rook A C8. Anon's playing correct. Ooh. Ooh, ooh, ooh. That's nice. Yeah. Takes. Takes. Huh. Or maybe here. I think that's why he didn't do that, was because of this right here. Yeah. I see that now. I see, because you have to be careful. This looks very tempting, but it weakens this spot here. The rook can then come down here, attacking both pawns once this takes. So you have to always look ahead. Always, always. Okay. Can throw in queen f2. Okay. Oh, queen f2 check. That works too. There. Yeah, he wins a pawn. Let's see, I think they're at equal pawns now. Yeah, that is a interesting sitch for sure. And then this is weak right there. So that does work. Let's see, there. And in comes the bishop, like what we talked about, bishop d6. Now a5, pawn a5, which is very interesting, putting a pawn on the same color as the opponent's bishop. I could see why though. Maybe knight. Well, this is interesting for sure. He didn't want to take care, because then that would implant a rook on the file. White would control the open C file. You have to remember that. Let's see, bishop the check, and then bishop C. Yeah. You have to always think what is your idea and what's your opponent's idea. See, bishop. Wow, nice. I always like these games. He just like jammed a bishop right in there. He's going after. So yeah, I like that engine. I like. Yeah, then he takes there, and then rook up. Oh, king. Yeah, he made a mistake on, and I made a mistake there on, and then yeah, that's actually the best. So there now the doubling up process is happening, and this is a threat. Actually, this is more of a threat. Again, so f5. He's going after the weak pawns. All right. Ivan's going for a huge attack. I like this. Is stellar. He goes back. 1.3 pawn advantage. Man alive. Because it's all based on this file here. This is an excellent file, but not doing too much. This is a file that's very, very important out of all of them. He retreats back. Ivan does. c5. Knight c5. Pawn takes c5. Sorry, bishop takes c5. Takes. Now, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 versus 5. It's interesting. It would be if black had a pawn here, this pawn there. He'd be probably even, but because he has these doubled, white has these doubled as well. So I think of these when they're like this as kind of like one pawn, because they really can't protect themselves. So let's just take these out, these ones out. So 3 versus 4. That's why it said 1.4. And then, oh, nice. That's strong. This is strong. But he loses a pawn. Ouch. Let's see if he played over here. You have that. And then you could play there. And then boom, boom. Now you have that. Yeah, that's not fun. Not fun at all. Not fun. Isn't the computer that's true computer pawn greed? You gotta love it though, because it wants to go here and guard that. That's actually smart if you want to go, hold on to pawns. So let's see here. There. Yeah, they're saying this is best because it stops this kind of push. It makes I think he will actually lose a pawn if I'm not mistaken there. Let's see what. Well, he could play here. That potentially might be an idea. Then after takes, and you have here. Huh. I think it's okay to hold on the pawn because white. He has. Yeah, that's why when. Actually, let's see. Yeah, there. And Ivan missed two important moves. So did Anon. He missed the rook twice. Takes. And it's kind of interesting. And black has no way to. Yeah, there's. He might play. Let's see. He might play here. Huh. This looks very drawish. I know he's up a pawn, but wow, he missed the opportunity to slide right in there. Because if there's a check, he could just move up, and then he's safe, or maybe even here. If there's a check back here, there, and then don't lose an opportunity to slide right in there. The king moves. Two pawns. There it goes. Yeah, you have to somehow stop this monster of a passer. Yeah, black has two or more things against him. He has a king that's tied down to the second. The only way that he could get in would be to go there, and then these pawns stop him from infiltrating. And so, oh, it wouldn't be fun to be Anon in this one. Takes. I think Anon wanted to sneak g6 using his own pawn to block the. Yeah. Potentially, yeah. Check. There it goes. Remember, the idea is he's not worried. This pawn right here stops both these guys. That's why in the endgame I kind of consider these, unless they're, good for passers, they're kind of like one pawn, because this one pawn stops both of these guys. So this is actually an endgame idea to play here, move your king over, and then move your rook out at the right time, and then plant the king there, and then trade off and queen. So this is very drawish right now, but there's one thing that Anon has that Ivan has that Anon doesn't, which is the pawn is further past. The king guards it, so this rook's active, and this rook's tied down to attacking this pawn. So it's debatable what's going to happen. And I love these end games. These are just so cool. Yeah, this is a interesting for sure sitch. I can see why the idea is check, and then you have that. So potentially that's probably drawish because he can't infiltrate there because this thing would get going. So checking almost forever. There, there, there. And that's the draw that happened for sure in this thing, because there's no way to get the pawns back. But think about it, all the way. Where was that? Let's get. Come on. There we go. Let's see. Right. Where is that? There was a move that he was 9. Let's see. Right here. Let's see. Wait a second. I'm sorry. I gotta go back because I want to go back to that pawn guarding thing. Let's see. No, no, no. Hold on. All you had to do was to play there, and Ivan more likely would have held the advantage. And this is the idea. And potentially maybe a draw, maybe. I doubt it though. So, oh, you wanna go over a game? Okay, let's do it. Oops. Okay. Let me pull this up here. Copy. Oops. Let me put it. I'll exit out of this. Go in and let me see. Pull up. There we go. There we go. Let's implant that game. Okay. So this is Gary versus. Oh, it's the same gentleman, Ivan. Okay, Gary's black, Ivan's white. Interesting. So Ivan's he's going for more activity here. I like this. I like this game here. This is power right now, especially when it's against the former or Gary Kasparov. Takes. Let's see, what did he take there? Oh, knight. I've been in a situation like this. I don't know if for Ivan to give up the 2 bishops was a wise idea. I don't think that was a very. I could see why he didn't want to retreat. He couldn't retreat back here because of there. Well, maybe he could have. And he had control over that whole file. That's a big decision to trade the light square bishop. Takes. Okay, so far so good. It looks Looks like Gary's holding. It's a closed game, so it betters these two knights. So the imbalance, if we want to step back for a second, which would be an excellent time at this moment, would be to look at what does black have, what does white have. Black has two bishops, white has two knights. Idea for black, open the center up. Idea for white, close it down. Make these two knights superior. White does have more central space at this moment. He's got these two pawns, but they're not strong. But he's trying to hold it like Jeremy Silman says, these center pawns. If he can, he's got it. Ivan's got the game right there. He moves. So the idea, like what you talked about, Black King, is a long term. Yep, exactly. Because he can't castle because this idea is like bang. So as much as Black wants to open the position, it would be not a wise decision to do that, especially with these rooks. White's developmentally ahead. His position's a lot better. The computer says 0.3 ahead. Yeah, because there's really nothing really going on. But White's idea is to get this going. He wants to break the. Probably next will either be d2, knight d2, knight h4, maybe knight g1, f4, then implanting it back where it was, and then you could crack the center if you needed to. Maybe even when this pawn's here, takes, something like that. Okay, so h5. You know, Gary knows when to attack for sure. He's got to get counterplay, and so if you're attacking in the center, you attack on the flank. This rook also, if this pawn's gone, there'd be a pin on this pawn. The queen potentially could go here, open up, and checkmate with the rook and queen. So White's not out of the woods without any consequences for the structure. Oops. There we go. Had to put the lid back on. Okay. So let's see here. Okay. H5. Wow, H4. Whew. Now this potentially will end up becoming a square for a bishop or a queen to implant itself on, which then would take away these squares and then potential back rank mate. So it's not over. This is far from it. Just because of position. Oh yeah, White. That was smart. Ivan did a smart move. He has two knights. Lock the position down. You do not. This would help Black out. So do not take there, even if he gives you a pawn. It's not a pawn you want to take because then you activate the queen and pain and more pain. Not fun. Not fun. So b5. Knight comes back. Also now there's a potential. And as well, there may be something. Maybe let's see. He can't get here for 4 moves, so that's not a fun thing to be in the deck. I don't know. I can see why taking is not good. Then you get a rook there, and then this knight's bound to protecting this pawn. Who do not like that. Then maybe you could play there and jump in. Interesting. So I like declining. Yeah. Yeah, there's positive, negative. Negative for the queen trades, we found out that a rook would implant itself there. This knight would be bound to it. If he trades, black might get out, in, and get out. Yeah, potentially endgame, yeah. So, right, that like what we talked about. If you're wanting to cramp your opponent, you don't want to trade pieces. But remember the weak this h4 pawn came in handy. This idea, potentially if you played here, takes, takes, and now this whole file is open. This pawn's gonna go, so something like that maybe could potentially happen. And then you may have to retreat back, but something similar to that. You have to always look at ideas that why Gary played that. So he's got to take. He's holding there. Wow. Who would have thought that in this position, black, who's king at first glance about like maybe 7 or 8 moves ago, his king was the unsafe one, and now white's king is the one that's getting totally attacked. Next idea is e5 potentially, because then you have there, but actually the queen guards that, doesn't it? Yeah, gotta look at. All right, now the pawns are fixed on. Gary fixes the queen side. That's actually an excellent idea to do, because if you're attacking on one side, sometimes the best idea is to fix the pawn structure on the other side if he's attacking. Like white's majority structures of his pawns is on the queen side, because he's got 3 against 2. And with the b6 though pawn push that Gary did, he neutralized white's idea of c5 and potentially something similar to that. Yeah, something like that. And then, so remember the queen's there, so let's attack it. So, and c5 was played, which wasn't considered the best of the moves. Sometimes you have to just go with the attack. The idea for white was to play f4, and his idea, that's why he moved his knight, did all these move sequences, the rooks. Go with your idea, and Ivan kind of went for a push here, which remember, any opening of the center helps black out. So you do not want to open the center if you don't have to. Like, let's say he tries to break here. White can just close the center down. Now these knights become super powerful. This bishop here is horrible. This bishop is horrible because it really doesn't have any squares to go to. And so this should have been somewhat of Ivan's idea, was to lock up the position. Let's see. So c5 logical. Yeah. It gives the square to the knight. I do see what you're saying there, but we have to always look at the pros and cons to this. It does give a spot for the knight, which attacks these 2 areas here. So if a knight implants itself here, but we also have to remember that now when this is taken, oh, he didn't take. I thought for sure he's going to take there. Yeah, because this does, it's a weakness now. This is a pass pawn, protected one. Opens up this whole file, or diagonal, for the bishop to just wreak havoc on h. Potentially d5, maybe f5, and black's got to attack. Rook takes. Gary's the world. He was the world champion. He's a excellent player. You know what, one of the strongest, equal to probably Bobby there. But we all sometimes make mistakes. This isn't a mistake. This isn't bad. But remember, he's got two bishops. Also, he would have gotten a passed pawn. He would have got a passed pawn. Like what we talked about before, this would have been an open for the bishop. So, and then this knight would have had to implant itself there to protect the passing of this pawn. So, Takes had more ideas. I could see Gary's idea though. He wants to go c5 to, yeah. I think Gary's idea was to bring his c, but yeah, exactly. And then he is going to take advantage, and that's why if you notice, h4 stops here or here, because if you could double up rooks like what Fox was saying on the G file, you'd be able to totally dominate white, and then you could play here, you could play here, you know. But there's always, remember, there's always, you give up something for something, guys. So it's not free. The idea of taking with a rook does allow Gary to have the ability of a double battery on the G file. But Ivan has enough defense on the G2 spot, G2 square. He also, if he ever needed to, could bring a knight in, could bring the queen over. More of a threatening idea would be to have taken, because even if the bishop moved, you could always bring the king up, connecting these rooks. So it's like computers think more, you know, kind of, they're very greedy in some aspects. More human move would have been to take c5. So that's more of a human move, which isn't a bad idea. Now black has to react. I mean, white has to react, and so now now that's not something fun that you want to have happen to you there. Oh, ouch, ouch. Now, rather than black having the pass pawn, white has one. Ooh, that is not fun. Ouch. Now white neutralized Gary's idea of G5, C5 to G5. Man, this F pawn move just did so much. I'm surprised this didn't get an I know maybe I'm a little favoritism or something, but I'm surprised this didn't get an exclam. That's just my opinion, because think of what it did. It stopped all of Gary's ideas. Here, if this is pushed, yeah. So this F4 is a killer move, man. It stops everything. White still has the pass pawn. Still can go there, then attack that. Yeah, white's in the driver's seat here. F5 takes, rotates, and yeah, I could see, because then if takes here, potentially there, huh? Let's see, takes. Oh, knight c. Okay, even better. And then you have a check there. Yeah. Okay. That's not actually, he can't move, can he? Because then he'd have to stay there. Wow, wow. C5. Who'd have thought that that would be that might save the day? Who'd have thought? Okay. Oh boy, I even missed the idea of there. Because this wins a pawn automatically. Well, not automatically, because he can retreat back there. I see why. But actually, it does win a pawn, doesn't it? Because knight takes, but you have to be careful of that. Then you could check, and so this knight is saved, and it's up a pawn. There's a pass pawn here, and this could be there. Wow, ouch. That's not fun for sure, for sure. So G4, that he gave the advantage back to Gary. C5. Yep, Gary figured out the idea and then went straight into it. Oh, that was a mistake there. Because remember, this is the pass pawn problem, and so if we can somehow neutralize this, black actually would have two passers. So it's funny taking here. Yes, it looks, if he took here, would be a bad idea. So best idea would probably be queen takes, because queen takes will attack here, also attacks there. So I'm not sure, what did it say that? So bishop takes. Interesting. Wow, who'd have thought this move potentially could be winning? You're down a whole rook, but yeah, look at these monsters that you have. It'd be hard to get them going because of the two knights, but potentially. But ouch, yeah. In comes the, and then, huh. Why not takes? Let's see. Maybe potentially there. And you could have this happening, but I don't know if that's best now that I think about it. Okay. Queen G, that was a question. Oh, that was a problem move. Blunder, it was a blunder. So F4, it says, was the best. And you still lose a piece though, so 1991, huh? That's when this game was played. Interesting for sure. Oops. Oh, I don't know. That's funny. I was doing my idea. Okay, there. I think there's two mates. I think that's mate, and that's mate. Wow, who'd have thunk, man, that right there, that it all came down to, where is that? Let's go to C5. Okay. This move here, right here, rook to C5, would change the whole face of the game. Just this move. Turns out bringing the rook to G1 was a very deep move. Ivan knew Karas would end up on the king side, and it would turn out into a. Yep, exactly. Exactly. That's right. What you just said there, Foss, was true. I even had a plan. I even had a plan that he would bring his rook over. He knew that Gary would have to someday bring his king to a safe spot. And this rook played a humongous role in the saving of White's king. If a rook wasn't on g1, all the other attacks would have just pummeled White into submission. But Ivan, like you said, had a plan. He knew that Black was going to, or Gary was going to, go for an attack. Oh, we all lose games. There's, Gary's a human as well as we are. We all lose games, but it's what you do with the games that you've lost. Do you continue to make the same mistakes, or do you apply what you've learned and then play a better game next time? And Gary did that. And so he probably took this back. Him and his seconds probably went over this, found out where he made a mistake, and then improved on it. So think about this. He ended up becoming the world champion. So he must have learned something from this, huh, guys? Okay, let's see. Does anybody have any other games that you guys would like to go over? Would anybody like to do that? While I'm waiting, I'll do a puzzle. Just put it into the chat. Are we talking pro games or games? Games that we've either one. If you have a game that you'd like to go over, knows, or are you Foss could go over them. I'm open for one more game before I have to log off. We can go over one more game, or we could do some puzzles. It's all up to you guys. I'm game. Okay, so let's see. Just plug it in to the chat here, and we'll go over it. Okay, so it takes there. Takes. Okay, now let's see what we can do. Okay, there's an idea there for, so if we can somehow infiltrate back in here. Huh. Okay. Trying to think what would be a good move here. Well, this is a difficult. Let's see if we take here. I'm not sure if. Well, what I can. What we'll do is we'll look at this one, and then when Nose brings their game up. We'll go over. Oops, there we go. We'll go over. I'll put that in as well, and so we'll go over both of those games. Wow, this okay, okay, okay. Let's get this. There we go. This is a quick one. I have it in study for. I created, but I can't get the. No, that's fine. Not a problem. Do not worry. Fox might know how to do that to help you because Fox could put games in here, and so he might be able to. Fox might be able to help you with that. So let's see. I gotta make sure I copy that. All right, there. Then we'll input it in this one here. Cause I'll do the tactics later. Boom. All right. So who's this? Oh, Tall is black. Ooh, I love Tall. Yeah. Tall is the. Oh wow. True center power, guys. True center power. All right, perfect. Let me pull up another one. Oops. So we'll go over the manual Tall one just a sec, but we'll go over this one. Okay, what color were you in, white or black? Because then we can work out ideas. Okay, white. Gotcha. Okay, so far so good. Wow. So far so good. That's good. You're okay. Everything's good. You have the King's Indian. That's what black does. Don't know. He was until after the game. Oh, I'm not. See, it's not about rating. It's about play. Okay, still, wow. Okay, still good. Okay. Okay, white's still good. You have really good development. He's cramped a little bit. You're also a little cramped here too, so that's not bad. So, and his king's somewhat unsafe. Takes. Interesting. So castles. That's actually a good idea to castle. He did a good idea too. Those were both excellent ideas. Knight takes. Yeah, that's interesting. So you're doing a sacrifice to go for open play. Not bad. Ooh, that was okay. That was not. What he played was not the best. Yeah. Yeah. You actually have a really good idea of implanting a knight there. That's perfect. I felt I was going to get killed if I. Oh, trust me, I've felt the same way in one of my games before. I did that too. I had to go like all in. Sometimes you just gotta go all in. Yeah. Your position is great. Okay, queen. Okay. Huh. Yeah. Not bad. Hmm. Yeah, that was a mistake there. So, okay. E4. Yep. Yeah, they're there so far. Okay. That's actually not a bad move. It locks everything down on black's side, so that's good. Well, G4. We're thinking G4, and then pushing on the king side. That's not a bad idea. The only stitch with G4 is your structure's excellent. If you lock down like what you did, which is perfect. Yeah, that B5 I think might be, well, yeah, B5 could be. And then yeah, he plays B5, which, wow, that's equal. He's counterplay against B2, yeah, the B2 pawn. Takes. Okay, Queen F3. At this moment, yeah, E5 looks interesting. Pawn E5. Because if he goes E5, takes, you have this open file. You also have two passers. Wow, that is killer. That's like stellar. I played E3. Okay. Okay, you played F3, trying to get in E next, but his knight would go to G8. Yeah. See, that's one thing you have to. Yeah, it does it with tempo. That's why. Yeah, that's why E5 is such a stellar move at this spot here. Is that it attacks with tempo. He has to take. If he doesn't take, let's just say he retreats back. Let me see what. Oh wow, you have a threat of mate here. So he'd have to play. Let's see what he'd have to play here. And then you can play queen there. You're attacking that rook. But actually, this pawn falls, doesn't it? Let's see. Okay. No, I think that's a good that's a good move because if takes here, you take there, and look at this structure. Oh my word! Look at this power. This is just power, man. Look at, you can go here. That protects that. Wow. Oh, D6. Oh, that is true. You're right. Oh, I can't believe I forgot about that. The queen. Oh. Oh. Yeah. But still, you have a pass pawn. This is weak. So. Yeah. So that's actually really good. It's all about learning for sure. E5, okay. Not bad. You're actually ahead. Oh, whoa. And wow. Okay, I see. Oh, that's sneaky. Because that allows for. Oh, wow. Yeah, there's no. Yeah, that's. Let's see. You'd have to intercept here. Ouch. That's not fun at all. So, yeah. Well, don't you know what? Don't worry about it. We learned about. Let's see. Where do we? When do we want to go back? Let's see. Let's see. All right, back. We learned that was the critical spot, the tide turner. That's one thing that we go over in this stream is we help each other improve. There's no bad move. There's only a better move. And when we start seeing the better moves, you start improving. And criticism is good sometimes, but cynicism's bad. Yeah, you don't want to. We don't want to be, you know, when not mistakes. When ideas are played, it's good to go over them with others so that you can see how to improve. Like, like you see, I even make inaccuracies sometimes. Like if I play here and something's there like that, I miss that. But you know what? I learned from that. So we all get to learn. Yeah, very true. Thank you for the game. This is excellent. I was honestly just happy I didn't get. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. 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 I know how that feels sometimes in those games. It's not fun to get that, but you did. It was a great game. Really good game. Um. So it was just he knew the opponent knew just a little bit more. He think about it. The black even made mistakes, and he's like almost 2,500. So it tells you that they could be beat. IMs could be beat. FMs, NMs could be beat. So it's not about their rating. It's about how much you know further. And Bobby, I think it was it Bobby? There was another. I'm not sure who it was. I'm trying to think of the Grandmaster's name. They asked, and maybe Petrosian. I think it was Petrosian. I'll have to check that, but just don't quote me on it. He said this that they asked him, "How many moves do you see ahead of your opponent?" He says one, and it's always the best one. So you don't have to see 10 moves into the future or 20 moves in the future. You just see one move farther than your opponent, and it's the best one. Yeah, I like that quote too. So, well, with that, guys, I appreciate that you all logged on and you shared your games. Thank you. They were so great learning lessons. Thank you, Fox, for bringing up some of the like the Metal Tall Gary ones so that we can go over them. So thank you, Nose, for your game. We learned a huge amount to when to break at the right time. That was important. Okay. Well, with that, guys, as Wesley So says, serve the Lord Jesus. And as I say, guys, God bless. And I'll see you next time on Chess Cruncher TV. Have a great night. Study good in chess. And continue to improve. Bye-bye.